In the early 2000s, a young little Optimus named Nathan was learning how to walk, talk, and all that, but he was also learning about something totally new, a whole new world ready to be explored that he would keep in touch with. Video games. Now, I don't remember a whole lot from before I think about first grade or so, but a couple of things that are at least gaming related that I can barely hang on to include the time I got a GameCube and played so much Wind Waker that I wanted to be Link, playing as the Dolphins in Madden 03, and playing pretty much my first video game of all time, Grand Theft Auto 3. Now, I know what a lot of you are already thinking right off the rip, why was a 3 or 4-year-old kid playing a Grand Theft Auto title, maybe even younger than that? The answer is because my dad gave it to me, and he also gave me Vice City, Madden 03, and just so many other classic games that I played throughout my childhood. Most of my first memories actually come from Grand Theft Auto 3, even though, as I get older, they kind of slip away and they get foggier than they once were, even if I do remember them. According to what he said over the years, I actually started playing the game pretty much earlier than 3 or 4, and I would just kind of drive the cars around the city trying to be safe as possible, not really doing missions or anything like that. He would apparently say, let me see that real quick. And I'd give him the controller, he'd kill a couple pedestrians and get the cops to come kill me. And of course, this would piss me off immediately because I'm just a little dude learning how to pretty much do everything. But hearing about it just makes me laugh even to this day because it would be the same thing that I would do to my kid. Regardless, it's honestly very safe to say that without Grand Theft Auto 3, my childhood probably would have been 10 times worse. I might not even be playing video games, to tell you the truth, which means that my YouTube channel wouldn't exist, and God knows what I'd be doing right now. Thanks, Dad. And anyways, I'm clearly not the only person that this game had an impact on, and I wasn't the only childhood created around this game. I still play this game to this day, and even though I can't find my original copy of the game for the PlayStation 2, I know I have it. I can't find the goddamn disc. I don't know where it is. I do know that it's around here somewhere. But you know what? With all due respect, let's tell San Andreas, Vice City, Grand Theft Auto 4, and 5 to all go piss off for the next, 10 or 20 minutes. And you know what? Let's celebrate Grand Theft Auto 3. On October the 22nd, 2001, the gaming industry was changed forever. Hardly a month after the September 11th terrorist attacks in the United States, and actually delayed and altered due to these attacks, Grand Theft Auto 3 was released, and subsequently changed how video games were made. It revolutionized an entire genre of games, helped popularize one of the most acclaimed and beloved video game franchises of all time, and set a new bar for the gaming industry to try and reach. I want to start off saying that this game is consistently ranked as one of the greatest video games of all time, and when it does come to the rankings and the critical reception of the game, it's one of the highest ranked games ever created. But as a lifetime Grand Theft Auto fan, and I mean it pretty much literally, I don't think the game is talked enough about, by fans. Grand Theft Auto fans will often cite GTA 5 or GTA San Andreas as the greatest games that the series has ever spawned. But I don't believe that GTA 3 has ever been shown the love that it deserves. To keep it simple, without GTA 3, we just wouldn't have what we call Grand Theft Auto today. As the first game in the 3D universe, Grand Theft Auto 3 set standards for atmosphere, open-world gameplay, driving mechanics, story and plot development, pretty much everything that we've come to know and love from Grand Theft Auto games. I've also noticed that even when I ask a lot of Grand Theft Auto fans that I know about the games that they've played, a shocking amount of fans have never played this game. I don't know if it's because it's just been so long ago, or if, I guess, in the 3D universe at least, San Andreas kind of drowned it out. I don't really know. It honestly confuses me. Like, how could you just miss such an experience? Anyways, let's talk about it, champ. So Grand Theft Auto 3 follows Claude, a quiet guy wrapped in quite a situation. While attempting to rob a bank in the intro to the game, his girlfriend/female accomplice, Catalina, I'm not 100% on how to pronounce it, I think it's Catalina, shoots him and leaves him for dead in the alleyway, leading to his arrest and sentencing. In the back of a prison van crossing the Callahan Bridge, a car pulls up, throws a bomb out of the window, destroying the convoy and the bridge itself. The attack allows Claude and 8-Ball to escape, which leads down a dark and twisted path of crime. Finding himself working for the Leone family, Claude directly starts to fight the Colombians, who are shockingly led by Catalina and the Colombian man she ran off with when she shot Claude. Eventually, this chick named Maria comes in the picture, and after a bunch of crazy shit between Claude and the Colombians during their kind of fight, she runs off with Claude to Staunton Island. And oh boy, the story doesn't end there. Claude starts working for the Yakuza because, of course, he doesn't stop crime. He kills a member of the Leone family, severs ties with them. Doesn't make him very happy, obviously. They lost somebody. They want to kill Claude, right? So he says no, starts making these connections with a media star, some cops, things like that. And through this time, he starts to kind of make enemies with the Yakuza and the cartel. He starts a war between these two, runs into Catalina, and she escapes him. And obviously, he wants to kill this bitch because she tried to kill him and leave him for dead, but, you know, he didn't die. So he kind of wants revenge. And I think we can all see why. Regardless, he's just not going to allow this to hold him back. Catalina then kidnaps Maria, who Claude is kind of taking a bit of a liking to over the course of things, and he's clearly not too happy about it. So what does he do? Go to kill Catalina, of course. She tries to escape in this helicopter. I just kind of no-scopes it or something and kills her. That's just what I remember of it from like the last time I really played it through later on in my childhood, which, you know, it's been like, I don't know, 6 years ago. Plus, I'm kind of replaying it now, but that's not even the best part. At the end of it all, right, Maria she's like messing around, she's mad about the kidnapping, and the credits start going, but you hear a gunshot, and Maria goes silent. So we don't really know what happened. Maybe Claude just said, you know, like, shut up and, you know, shot her. No one can say, but, you know, it's a dope story. Honestly, though, the story opened the game up to so much more. I mean, we've seen this impressive map. It features 3 entire islands, each with their own style and taste to explore throughout this whole story, which kind of gives me these, you know, mobster vibes, makes me feel like I'm the head of the mafia. You get to explore this world full of life. Honestly, it's just another highlight of how Rockstar Games creates these vast open worlds with so much detail and character to them. There's games coming out today that quote-unquote have open worlds that don't feel as alive and bustling and truly realistic as this game. Even with better graphics and better technology, this game is still, I would say, a better open world game than a lot of what we're getting now. It just feels like New York City is supposed to, and future iterations of Grand Theft Auto actually continue this hot streak. Really, this all started with Grand Theft Auto 3. And don't get me started on the soundtrack. While not the best in the series, Grand Theft Auto 3 definitely has some bangers. I still listen to songs from the soundtrack, from the Jojo Pellegrino freestyle to the Royce da 5'9" cuts to some of the Head Radio songs. Games like Vice City and San Andreas definitely did soundtracks better. In fact, I would say this is where they reached their high point, but this game really came with the heat too, honestly. Once again, if Grand Theft Auto 3 just didn't pack the soundtrack that we could still be bumping today, I can't honestly see Vice City or San Andreas coming with that heat, even if I personally think that both of these games had better soundtracks, because this is the game that really started that trend. Cheats really took off in GTA 3 as well, opening up all kinds of opportunities to players. It's just, whew. I know a lot of people watching my videos, you're kind of younger kids who grew up probably playing a bit after this game came out, but cheats back in the day, man, they weren't simple. You had a notebook full of codes written in sloppy handwriting for dozens of games, and that book was sacred. If there was one book on earth I wasn't losing in my childhood, it was my PlayStation 2 cheat code book. I spent so much time just getting all of these codes, amassing them over the years. And it came in handy, I gotta say. But, I mean, easily now, especially, you could just pull them up online with no problem. And, you know, now that my notebook was probably lost to the garbage can many years ago, it's still really going to help me out. Whether you wanted to ride around in a tank just demolishing everything, or to get all the weapons in the game, or literally cause a riot, cheat codes were there for you. Sure, they still exist today, but you're never going to get that era of cheat codes that I grew up in. Cheat codes are still in Grand Theft Auto to this day, as the new edition Grand Theft Auto 5 has cheats, but honestly, I'm taking Grand Theft Auto 3 cheats over them any day. They were just more fun to use back in the day to begin with. They served a lot more purpose and were definitely spearheaded by this title going into the newer eras of Grand Theft Auto titles. GTA 3 also helped pioneer sandbox games in a way that other games just couldn't. Sure, they existed before Grand Theft Auto 3, but none did it as good as GTA 3. You did the missions when you wanted to. There was plenty of mini games and side missions and packages and stuff around the map to collect, and even just riding around being chaotic. As a kid, A lot of the times, I just wasn't even doing the missions because the gameplay was so fun in other aspects that I could just do whatever. I'd steal cars and take them to the compactor and get a little bit of money. Then I would go over to the little car shop over there by 8 Ball's shop, break in, get the Banshee, and ride it around town. It just helped popularize everything that we've come to know and love from these kind of games. Of course, it even helped build upon other games in the series, definitely going into the future, as inspirations from GTA 3 can be seen in all kinds of titles far into the future. Even today, a lot of the Grand Theft Auto 5 mechanics that we all praise and like were really built upon and started in Grand Theft Auto 3. If that game was created differently and focused on a more linear construct for story and gameplay mechanics, gaming would definitely be different today, especially games in this series. And we might even look at a whole genre of games entirely differently. Graphically, the game was actually pretty good looking, at least for the times, you know. Of course, today the graphics are quite dated, the textures are definitely not up to par, and even animations are quite choppy. But for the PlayStation 2 era, this was pretty decent. Even today, the graphics aren't so terrible. Growing up, I didn't really focus on graphics at all because I just wanted to play the game. As long as I could tell what was going on, I didn't really care. We're definitely spoiled with graphics in the modern era of gaming, and of course, future graphics will make it today even look silly, but as a kid, I didn't look at GTA 3 and think that it looked bad because the game was just so good. That's just one of those small things that you don't really think about until it just suddenly hits you one day, that a game can be so good mechanically with such a good story and have exceptional fundamentals and just enthrall you to the point that the graphics aren't even in mind. It's rare. After I learned that I could actually play a whole story in the game if I just took the time to learn through my childhood, you know, I never looked at the game any differently than I probably did when I first played those games the first few times as a youngster. Of course, confused, but thrilled. While the mechanics were good, they weren't always perfect. Shooting in the game was definitely a mess, and even looking back on it now, I think it's pretty safe to say that, yeah, yikes. I'm definitely glad that future titles fixed the issue. The locking system to aim on weapons was clunky, bad, cars couldn't take much damage before setting on fire, and oh god, please just make sure you don't flip a car. There was no rolling a vehicle back over then, so you just straight up lost it. Hope you got out in time. But once again, sometimes broken or hardly working mechanics can be excused in a game like this. The gameplay makes up for the issue, especially when you're young and you don't really notice a lot of the issues with the game. As a kid, it was way easier to just pick it up and enjoy it regardless, but as the game gets older, some of these mechanics that were clunky and fixed in future titles definitely start to come out and become noticeable. The game was definitely also a major contributor towards the controversy around the whole series. Once a game like this comes out, where at the time, quote-unquote, extremely realistic killing simulators come out and you're entrenched in gang warfare, revenge, and this whole world that just go and kill whatever you want, people start to take a bit of notice, and oh boy, they don't like it. God forbid you could kill pedestrians or beat hookers to death to get your money back or whatever gets people upset at a video game like this. With the game being the first 3D GTA game and being, you know, somewhat cutting edge at the time, this was a big deal to people, and of course, the whole series has been coated with a thick layer of controversy since then with every title. Even with these problems concerning parents and people all over, Grand Theft Auto 3 was still the best-selling game in 2001, was one of the PlayStation 2's best-selling titles, and received such critical acclaim that even today, we look back on this game as one of the greatest. Also, Grand Theft Auto 3 sparked the start of one of the most apparent, blatantly GTA things ever, the cover art. Starting with Grand Theft Auto 3, we see these cut-out squarish pictures around the cover depicting different people, activities, locations, and drawings based around the game for each title. GTA 3, we see a cover showing many characters, vehicles, and the famous logo with a colorful mix between all the images, which began to evolve after this, and the cover was definitely well received. Vice City just screams 80s Miami, San Andreas lets you know that you're about to be in some real gangster shit, GTA 5 shows the new heights of more modern looks into Los Santos with a new story attached. As we all know pretty well, this cover art style has become iconic to the series, and that's the first thing you're gonna think of when you see this art style. It does its job pretty well. I mean, it's gonna sell games, and it sells the concept of the series as a sort of stamp of GTA. Pretty good marketing, I'd say. However, this cover art almost never came to fruition. In fact, this style only came after the September 11th terrorist attacks. The artwork cover for Europe depicts the original version of the cover art actually, which was thought to be quote-unquote too raw after 9/11. It's safe to say that if 9/11 never happened, GTA would never have gotten its iconic art style, plus we'd see different cop cars and a few changes outside of that. In fact, 9/11 apparently made the game about 1% different, while this cover change was the biggest that actually came from this. So there you go. Thank GTA 3 for all it's done. Whether you're a fan of the series or not, it's likely that this game helped pioneer something forward in a game that you do love, because it was really that influential. One of the most influential games of all time, along with one of the best. I wish it just got shown a bit more love by GTA fans though. Of course, there are the ones that they love this game. I'm definitely one of them. But regardless, a good story, good mechanics, all the other goodies piled on top, it just made this game a staple of my childhood, a game that truly introduced me to video games, but also taught me lessons. As much as people denounce Grand Theft Auto for how violent it is, and how much people might think my dad giving me this game or access to it at such a young age was a horrible idea, I learned a lot from this game, and it helped build passion that I still carry to this day for something. I learned from this game that people can do some really bad shit. I learned that there's consequences to your actions. I learned that there's more to the world than just my perspective, as going around this game shows all the traffic and the people walking around with their own stories and voice lines and behaviors. I learned that video games can make me feel something, and I learned that overall, there's just a whole other world out there for me to explore. Not just physically, but metaphorically. Two different worlds, actually, because while I explored Liberty City and I saw what there was to see, I also learned that video games were a whole new frontier that I was excited about. Was there more games like this one that I liked? I don't know, maybe so. And I quickly found out that even though there weren't many games out there like GTA 3, the game has shown its influence all around the industry. And by experimenting with all kinds of games, I've grown to love video games, and I've grown to love this game in particular. And I'm gonna find that original copy, because I just recently bought another PS2, just like the one I had as a kid, and I've got some revisiting to my childhood to do. I own this game on 4 separate machines: PlayStation 2, 3, 4, and the PC. If it ever comes out on a future console that I'll own, I'm definitely gonna buy it again and again, because this game had such an impact on me that I'm never gonna forget. And I really do thank my dad for getting me into games with this game. Grand Theft Auto 3 was influential, and one of the greatest games of all time, and, you know, being quite a bit in the past by now, I think it's overlooked. So say thanks, damn it. Your favorite game may not have been the same without it. Thank you guys for watching this video. If you did enjoy, please leave a like below, and subscribe for more content. Consider either writing a 3-paragraph essay on why I should die for liking the game, or why you're crying in the club right now watching this video because it hit you right in the nostalgia. But regardless, you should follow my Twitter @subtooptimus. I'm not gonna ask you again. Next time, I'm just gonna get the belt. Join the Discord below and have a great time. And I gotta say, honestly, if I could be stranded on an island with some people who give me $5 a month to help make the content that I make through all the crap with YouTube, I gotta say, the following list would be a pretty good, amount of people. Spike Viper, Snitchy, High 245, LOL, Gaming Tim Horton, I Am a Tuna, Dally Whoop, Overly Obsessive Waifu, Colin Rentmeister? God, you know what? I don't know. Colin Rentmeister, and XD Liam. Thanks for helping me out. If you want to maybe be on an island where I don't have to worry about demonetization, consider hitting the join button on my channel to be a baller. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, looking for his copy of Grand Theft Auto 3, and signing out.